All right, everybody. We are back. Fresh takes, Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo. Across from me,
as always.
Whoa, he's jumping the gun a little bit today.
As always.
Man, legend himself. Nick Felice. Nick, coming in hot from work. How was you were at the swim meet? How was it?
I do apologize for the 5-minute delay for
You're good.
viewers out there, but I was at Geneva swim pool. Do you call it a pool?
Geneva Waterloo swimming.
Geneva Waterloo, yes.
Swim complex.
Swim complex in Geneva. I've never been there.
That's up in the high school, isn't it? Now.
Yep. Nice little pool. I got a little lost there. I was going through the basketball, but those doors, where you going through basketball?
Yeah, the new gym, yeah.
Yeah. Those doors were locked, so, a little bit
Big
of a...
sad about that, by the way.
Yeah. But final score, Geneva Waterloo, 117. Newark, 58.
What do those numbers mean in swimming?
So, there's 12 events. Usually there's only 11, but there was 12 today. There was diving. Diving's one event, but you come into a certain place. You come in first place, I think, is 6 points. Second place is 3 or 4 or something like that. Each place is points, and you add up the points at the end, and then 117.58 is your final. So
you learn something new every day.
Oh, so if you come first place, you get 6 points, and you win that. You also win that event if you're that person, or relay. Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I think it's a little more exciting than bowling, but I'm a fan. I'd rather bowl than swim. I'll say that.
Shots fired.
I have not gone to bowling yet, but swimming's all right. It's all we got right now.
Well, not quite all we have, Nick, because we have today's topics.
That is true.
We'll touch on it was a game in the first half.
It was,
But yeah, the College Football Championship, Ohio State, Alabama, we'll touch on that a little bit. NFL playoffs.
Oops.
God, I'm about to have a freaking hot take of the century in the NFL playoffs.
Really?
Well, for around here, it's a hot take. But, I don't care. Somebody's got to say it. Yeah, hoops. We'll touch on the biggest news and notes so far from both NCAA and NBA. We'll make that quick. And then NHL preview. I almost said playoff. But it's a 56 game here, so
it's going to be a quick season.
Excited about that. Let's jump right into it. Alabama routes Ohio State. Yeah, that's right.
I would have used the word cruised.
I said route. They routed them.
Cruise is like, they're cruising to a win. Route sounds like it was blow up the whole game.
Well, it was a route, it ended up becoming a route.
That's all right. I'm all right with the word, I would have used cruise, but...
Well, anyway, the Buckeyes were unable to stop the ESPN-created three-headed monster of the weird graphic of Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith.
Stud.
Could
have had 20 catches that game.
Should have, but he got hurt. Unfortunately. Didn't make a big difference, at least team-wise, in the long run.
Nope.
I turned it off after Slade Bolden. I wanted to get his name right. Got a touchdown. I'm like, okay, we're done here. I don't know who Slade Bolden is. But, all things considered, it's hard not to sit back and think this might be one of, if not the best Alabama teams of our generation.
Better
in
than
all
the
fairness.
LSU team last year.
Yeah, I think I would.
Offensively.
Yeah, I think I'm taking this team over that team. I think it's proof that what happened this year, that last year for LSU was probably lightning in a bottle, all things considered, but not to stay obviously on that and get too far off topic. That's a different discussion, but, it's crazy. It really is crazy when you think about it. Mac Jones probably played himself into an NFL contract at the very minimum thing. Somebody's probably going to take him, honestly, first round, I think. I'm not too sure. I don't know. He's got some things, I think, overall that I kind of question a little bit, but that might be just having a bit of an Alabama quarterback stigma. But you never know. I think somebody for sure is going to probably at least draft him in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, what is it now, Thursday night or Friday night. I don't think he makes it to Saturday. Najee Harris, first rounder, should he opt to go. I think he's got 1 year technically of eligibility left.
It's a little embarrassing that they have him like 20th right now.
Yeah, no, it's absurd. But they did the same thing really with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I will say it's a really good player comp in all fairness. And then Devontae Smith, probably the best athlete in this draft coming up. But I mean, I doubt he'll be taken first, obviously.
I think it's a blessing in disguise, I think, with the Jets, though, and getting Devontae Smith. Because I might be like one of few people, but I still...
Oh, I know what you're about to say. I mean, I have faith in Darnold, too.
Yeah, I still like Sam Darnold. I think
Darnold had different
Lawrence
discussion.
And uncertain receivers is worse than Darnold and Devontae Smith.
Plus, Devontae Smith kind of relieves Crowder of having to be your number one when he's not really a number one.
Yeah, I think that would be an awesome pick at number 2. The only thing about Devontae Smith, he's a little scrawny, but
he got arms.
and he's quick. I'm a big fan.
And he refuses to go down a lot. He really does.
Yeah, and it's just one thing I'll take away from the national championship game is that Notre Dame's defense was actually pretty legit this year.
I was about to say, I think the biggest thing is for a lot of people I noticed, they were talking about how Notre Dame shouldn't have been in and whatever, right? And then you look at this game, it's like, could anybody have been any different though?
It literally was like the same game at the start. Especially the way it started. Alabama just drove down, scored some easy touchdowns. They barely got the third down, and it started off the same. But Notre Dame, I think, actually made adjustments in that second half defensively, while Ohio State didn't, and they just kept scoring. Even though it got over early, but it was like 75, and then it just stopped there, and it just stayed at 76 for the rest of the game. But and for all those people who bet the over.
I took the first half over, and that nailed with 8 minutes to go in the second. 37.5 is what it ended up at.
Yeah, and I think it's about damn time someone else got crushed by Alabama than Notre Dame. And there was no one beating them. Even if you gave Clemson a shot, I don't think they'd compete with that. That offense is just it's just too good, too talented. The whole team is talented.
Yeah, let's
but their offense.
Let's take a quick look at the stat line here for Alabama. We'll go with the main players, as I call them. Mac Jones, 36 for 45, 464 yards, 5 touchdowns in the air. Your leading rusher was Najee Harris, 22 carries, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. He also had a reception touchdown as well. Leading wide receiver, obviously, Devontae Smith, 12 receptions for 215 yards.
Didn't even play the fourth.
I was about to say, de facto, really, though, only played about, game time-wise, I'm not too sure the actual number breakdown, how much Alabama was on the field. But you look at the game, 60 minutes in the game. He was only in there for 35 minutes because he got hurt fairly early on in the third quarter and never came back in. So he had 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. Effectively, just we'll call it a half a play, pretty much. Absurd. And then again, like I said, Najee Harris, who had the 1 touch on the ground, he had 7 receptions, 79 yards of receiving yards for a running back. Crazy.
Yeah, I know I said a couple podcasts ago, I said this Alabama team not one of their better teams, and I just didn't know them yet because they didn't play Notre Dame yet. I didn't really watch them, but watching them a couple games, they're pretty good. They are pretty good.
Well, what's interesting, I brought this up, I said this, their defense definitely lackluster overall. Obviously, 24 points, they did good, but their defense only had 1 sack and no interceptions. They did have a fumble recovery, but, think about that. They just, no turnovers, but stopped them.
But let's talk a little bit about Justin Fields. What are your thoughts on him last night?
Well, it's hard to get a true gauge on him. He was playing with cracked ribs in the first place. I don't know. It's hard to say if a dude's stock actually fell. If we want to play that game with Trevor Lawrence, you have to play with Justin Fields now, for sure. their best run. Well, I mean, I guess it depends what you really want to call who you want to call their best running back. Trey Sermon was obviously big in the second half of the year, but that's only because Major Teague was pretty much injured the second half of the year, and he had himself a really good game, all things considered, what he had to do, pretty much. I mean, it's not like Fields really played a bad game. He was 17 for 33, did throw under 200 yards, 194 yards through the air, with one touchdown. Did have 67 yards on the ground, though. Probably still the number 2 quarterback, in my opinion, behind Trevor. I thought if he had played at the same level he played in against Clemson, I think he probably leapfrogs him on some people's boards.
Not the BYU quarterback?
Oh, I got question marks.
Really?
Yeah. I don't get. I mean, again, different discussion, but I think I don't get how he's all of a sudden the 4th best prospect
What's
overall.
his name?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
I mean, people have him going to Atlanta. I don't get how he's all of a sudden the 4th best prospect. I think it's just people thinking Atlanta will take a quarterback when I'm not convinced that they will. But yeah, it was just a rough game for Ohio State overall. Like I said, I mean, even though they didn't give up any sacks, it seemed like that line was doing a lot of bending and not breaking for the most part. I mean, it's tough. It was tough. I mean, even with this Alabama defense being down for what they usually are, in my opinion, that D-line was probably the biggest highlight of that. It was not a strong overall defensive line than what you're used to. I mean, think about looking at Washington, the football team, right? They have 2 guys on their front 4 who are from Alabama, first-round picks all in the past 5 years. And I think they'd be making head and shoulders way above the guys for Alabama. But they did. They were able to put pressure on Justin Fields when there needed to be pressure. I mean, Fields still going to go top 5 in the draft. He still is good, but certainly not his best outing.
It's always a good day, the national championship game. It's on a Monday. It's college basketball is not really on that day. A few games here and there, and even though it's the same teams most of the time, but hopefully we get that 8-man playoff. What do you think? 18 playoff.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer if they expand it to do 8 teams. You pretty much, I think you have to guarantee a automatic bid to whoever wins Power 5s. And then you have 3 at-larges for what I read at that point. A lot of people are saying go to 6, which I can understand to a degree, but I don't know. I think if you're expand it out to 4 and 4 on each side of the bracket and kind of go from there. Yeah, that might be the biggest critique overall in the year is, this was probably the year that we probably should have had a group of 5 probably in. I don't think it changes the outcome really, probably in the playoff.
Alabama's going to steamroll through everything.
I just, I still think, Cincinnati probably could have been a 4, but I don't know if they leapfrog A&M even though overall. But, if this was the year that the playoff could have gotten it right, and even then they didn't, I think ranking-wise they messed it up. You could tell from the outright that they weren't going to change and they were just going to go for whatever this year, and they did. That's their prerogative, but, you live and learn. So it'll be interesting. I think we'll see 6/8, depending upon what they opt to do here, probably 5-ish years out. I think I don't think you can do it within a year or 2 here just because of the way the contracts are with bowls and everything like that. So, yeah, I think you'll see it. I want to see it, but don't get your hopes up, at least in the immediate.
Hopefully the Pinstripe Bowl will be back next year.
Yeah, well, I hope a lot of things are back next year.
I hope it's back to a normal season. These especially college, is just weird.
Yeah.
It's definitely the most affected out of, the two major college sports and then the professional sports. But deals with money.
Money's money. All right.
Hoops. No.
Wrong. Super Wildcard weekend is in the books.
Super.
Bills and Browns, the two Bs, the Rust Belt teams, ending historical droughts over the weekend. I don't know where you want to start fully with this, Nick.
I'll start with something.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
the floor is
Bills
yours.
and Browns did end droughts. And I'll give you another Buck team that ended up, or I said it, but another
Wow.
B team, the Buccaneers, and they ended a decent drought too. And I was just saying,
in all fairness, I did kind of allude to that, but
and other guys, yeah, and
old
I was
guys.
just saying like, and when I was a senior in high school. If you could tell me in 2021 that the Bills, Browns, Buccaneers, Chiefs, and Rams would have been in the divisional round of the playoffs, I would have thought you were crazy. I looked it up. They're all combined 27-52 my senior year, which was the 2012-2013 season, 2013 playoffs, 8 years ago. So, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway. Obviously, the biggest takeaway of the whole weekend ball was obviously Mitchell Trubisky winning the Nickelodeon MVP award. Did you hear about that?
Oh, that was tremendous. Well, I was tweeting about it.
That was my biggest
We were robbed. Mitch Trubisky was robbed.
He won.
No, but they gave it to Cam Jordan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the Saints won, so they gave it to Cam.
Wow, I thought he won. What'd you think of the slime?
Loved it.
I didn't
We
get a
need
chance
more
to
of
watch
it.
But I saw the picture.
We need more of it.
Yeah. There was games on Amazon Prime, Peacock, all these other channels. It was cool. Super Wildcard weekend. I have never gone to an NFL game before. I've never gone to an NFL tailgate. But
You've never been to one, but I've been to I went to a game this year.
Yeah, I know, that's crazy. But I was so happy to be in the Buffalo area on Saturday morning, and I was there I just decided to go to the Bills Stadium, and that was my first ever Bills experience. It was terrible because there was no one there. There's no tailgating.
I mean, do you want my other hot take?
Yeah, that's right. You said something about the Bills. We'll get it in a second. I just want to say, I thought it was cool. 3 games each day. Buffalo going to have a night game this week. But, Paul, let's hear this hot take about the Bills, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, I'll save the one that's the actual one for when we discuss the games this weekend. Bills fans, I don't want to break to what Nick said, but, your stadium sucks. Your experience sucks. Cleveland's experience is way better. I said it. The Muni lot trumps freaking whatever you got going on in Orchard Park. That's the fan base. Although I'd rather hang with the dog pound anyway. So, I mean.
So you want a Browns-Bills AFC Championship game?
Oh, I subscribe to it, but it's not going to happen.
I'm intrigued what this other take is, but
well.
That is a hot take, Paul. Probably 90% of our audience are probably Bills fans.
That's fine. Somebody needs to tell them. They can't just live in the bubble like they're Tom Brady their whole lives.
And that's interesting.
Speaking of Brady, what'd you think about? I don't get why people are kind of hyping up his game. He didn't exactly have a great game. I mean, it wasn't bad either, obviously, but it's not like it was this classic Brady performance.
Just loaded with weapons. His team is just absolutely loaded with weapons. Antonio Brown's finally starting to come on. Because he's still talented enough to be a top 5 receiver, in my opinion. Antonio Brown. He's got Mike Evans, who's always been a number 1 for that team. Chris Godwin's an up and comer. He's definitely could be a number 1 on some teams. Right here, he's the number 3. They just get Leonard Fournette. It hasn't really been Leonard Fournette like we saw in Jacksonville, but Ndamukong Suh is on the team. Just so many weapons from both sides of the ball. Tom Brady built the team there, and he's trying to take the worst winning franchise by winning percentage to the Super Bowl, host the first Super Bowl. and win another Super Bowl. But he's got uphill climb. He's got to play the Saints. Didn't really come close to beating them in the regular season. Then, of course, you got the Packers, a potent offense and a stellar defense in the Rams on the other side. And, of course, Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the bracket. But I think Lamar Jackson is going to. I'm a big Lamar Jackson. I'm high on the Ravens right now, and I think they're going to be going to the Super Bowl this year.
Whoa.
Didn't want to jump ahead to our predictions, but I'm huge on the Ravens because I'm not high on the Bills and the Browns, and it's one or the other.
All right, I respect. Seahawks. I don't know if you saw this, Nick. Might break some news.
The game, yeah, I saw.
Well, yeah, but they parted ways with Schottenheimer tonight.
Seattle.
Yeah. That was a bad performance.
Defensive coordinator?
OC. That was a bad performance, admittedly, by Seattle. I talked with Matt about this, who's been on our show before. Obviously, it's been a while. It's been tough getting, obviously, in studio guests with the pandemic, but...
We haven't had Pat in a while.
Well, it is what it is. But as I told Matt a little bit here, I think Pete Carroll's actually on the hot seat now.
Whoa.
To a degree. I don't think you fire him this offseason.
These playoff chokes.
But, I mean, if you don't... It's not so much, chokes. It's hard to call them chokes in a sense. But, I mean, if you don't really make a move next year, whether it's just even winning a playoff game or at least meeting whatever expectations you have as a front office next year, I mean, I think there's going to be finger pointing. And then, two, you really are going to have to at least think about moving on or moving in a different direction. It's not so much, I still think Pete Carroll's a really great coach, but it's the same thing, I feel like, for instance, with Michigan, with Harbaugh. They gave Harbaugh an extension. I don't get why. Sure, I know Pete Carroll brought you a Super Bowl. And probably the best teams and consistency you've had in your history. But, I mean, at what point do you just try and move on to a different direction? And need to move in a different direction? Because clearly, I don't know if it's working anymore. And, I think there's a lot to be desired, I think, this offseason if you're a Seahawks fan and are a Seahawks player. I think they need to bolster that offensive line again, or attempt to anyway. Russ was just under fire constantly the second half of the year this year.
Well, the thing with them is they rely on the 12th man. Mm-hmm. They legitimately do.
But a lot of teams, though, too, though. I get where you're going with this, but, you know.
Well, they didn't have no fans that game against the Rams, and every other time they've choked in the playoffs, it's been on the road. When they get the number one seed, have home field throughout the playoffs, they go to the Super Bowl. And they won one, should have won the other, but
they're 1-1 though. With that,
Yeah, the loss was in the Super Bowl, but yeah, it's just they rely on that home crowd and.
Yeah, but they did a study though this year. Home field doesn't actually give you as much of an advantage anymore as you think.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put him on the hot seat. I think.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know
so much.
That's what I'm
for that
saying.
Franchise to fire him. I think it's almost like a Jim Boeheim kind of thing. You can't fire Jim Boeheim.
Well, I think you can fire anybody.
I don't know. Jim Boeheim's name is on the court, so you can't fire him. And
they fired Jim Valvano. They fired Jim Valvano, and his name's on the court.
Yeah. But I don't think they could fire Pete Carroll. I think it's more letting him go on his own terms.
So when you're just 3-13 for 4 straight years with him at the helm, then you just let him go on his own terms at that point?
Well, I don't think they're going to go 3-13. I think he's that good of a coach. Okay, yeah, if you throw that in there, if Bill Belichick goes 0-16 for 3 straight years, yeah, he's gone. But he'd be gone
after one. He'd allow himself to get fired. He'd fire himself if he went 0-16.
I just don't see it happen. Yes, obviously.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not calling it. It's a de facto hot seat, if anything. Like I said, I think you don't fire him mid-year next year, but if you get to next offseason and nothing's changed, I think you make that case with a lot of people. I mean, like I said, look at.
I think Seattle
I'm just
has
saying.
more problems
For instance, look
on
at
the offensive
Harbaugh.
line.
They got problems everywhere, though. There were problems play calling wise. There's
They
clearly
got
a problem.
problems for a good team. So where does that come from? Might be because of a good coach.
I think you're just trying to defend blood on this one instead of looking at facts.
I'm just saying that there's a lot of problems with Seattle, but yet they're good every year. So maybe
they're consistent every year.
Yeah.
This year we thought they were good, and they were literally the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NFC.
Yeah.
You
give Pittsburgh another quarter, they come back in that Cleveland game.
I want whatever you're smoking on that one.
You give the Pittsburgh Steelers another quarter of that game, they'll come back and win that game.
Another quarterback or quarter.
That's true. Both would have helped, but
There's clearly a problem in Pittsburgh too. I've said that the past 2 years. There's clearly a coaching situation going on there that.
I'm a big Mike Tomlin guy. Pittsburgh.
So am I. He's a good coach, but again, what are they doing? They're literally another
they need a
example.
quarterback. That's definitely.
They need a lot more than just Ben, I think, at the moment.
Yeah,
You got Corvette going on in your locker room. There ain't
props
anything
to Cleveland
changing.
winning that game, but I don't know. Maybe I don't think the better team won that night.
Better team that night won.
Yeah, better team that night won. I'm a big Nick Chubb guy, not a big Baker guy.
If in the playoffs, you just gotta get it done. They didn't.
Not a big Baker guy, Talking a little bit about my quarterback, Daniel Jones, a couple years ago.
Yeah, after somebody boxed him into a corner with it. Let's get into preview talk.
Yes.
We're going too much at each other.
Yeah.
Game 1 on Saturday, 4:35 p.m. The Rams make the long trek north to Lambeau to take on the Packers.
Who are you going
Packers are open in a 7-point favorite.
Who are you going with?
Packers.
Why, Paul? I'm going to go with the Rams in this game.
Why? Because if Goff has to play with a thumb in the cold,
I think
Jalen
Ramsey is going to shut down Devontae Adams. I know you're not huge on Adams. I don't know how you feel now, but
still not.
Jalen Ramsey's going to shut down Devontae
That's another hot
Adams.
take I have about Diggs.
I think this is going to be the Cam Akers breakout game. And I think we have an upset brewing to start the weekend. Rams, give me the Rams.
You're nuts.
Over the Packers.
You are nuts. Saturday night in Orchard Park, Ravens at the Bills. Ravens a 2.5-point dog. I'm going to take the Ravens, and Bills fans, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you guys are freaking sufferable right now. I want to see the Bills get ran into the ground. I think they are going to get ran into the ground because your defense is overrated.
They're bad, They win one playoff game. They're all out here,
God.
But, let them live a little because it's going to end this Saturday. I think we're going to have a Lamar Jackson exclamation point rushing touchdown to end the game. It's going to be like a 8-point game. I think Lamar Jackson will have a 30-yard run. It will be the exclamation point. And it will take everything out of Bills fans, and it will be over. I got the Ravens by, what would that be, 15?
Oh, yeah. By the way, Bills fans, congrats on having Diggs' one good year before he returns back to being a glorified slot receiver. I guarantee you guys will be calling a drama queen by week 14 next year.
Really? Guaranteed?
Yes.
Let me Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley that. Let me write that down.
While you write that down, I'll tell the folks about the Browns and Chiefs Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
You got the upset.
No. I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm not dumb.
The Chiefs, I think it's
nice. Is that the 10-point game on the weekend? I think it is.
Yep. I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm thinking this is going to be a nice learning experience for the Browns.
That game might be a little tight for a little bit, but That's why I think the 10-point spread might be a little too much. I think double point.
And I heard something that the Chiefs haven't covered in like 6 games.
Yeah. I mean, well, 10-point, especially in the playoff, is tough in the NFL to cover, at least from a gambling perspective.
But I got the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs as well. And then Sunday night game, well, not quite Sunday night, exactly.
Washington.
6:40, Buccaneers at the Saints, the Battle of the History Channel. I think this game, too, was like a 2-point spread or something like that. Saints are favored.
Who do you like?
The Saints offense really actually is struggling. I think people kind of fail to realize that to a degree. Mind you, they got it's not lucky. I mean, just you have to play who you draw with the Bears, right? But I mean, the Bears defense really did hold up really well overall in that game. I think the Buccaneers defense, coming from somebody who witnessed it, has been giving up some stuff. But that offense certainly can churn against a defense that is good, as shown last week. It pains me to do this. I gotta go Buccaneers, I think.
I'm disappointed Washington's not there, Paul. I mean, what are your just real quick before I make a pick? What are your thoughts on Washington? You know, making the playoffs, Chase Young star.
Like I said, I think about 3 steps ahead of what I thought they would be this year. Really, I mean, probably technically more than that.
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I changed much for that defense. I think we gotta go after another player in the secondary, whether that's a corner or a safety. Take your pick. Man, if we got one more receiver in there, like an actual like number to like maybe 2, because to me we got 2 we for sure have a number 1 wide receiver in the league and Terry McLaurin, but Steve Sims Jr. and Cam Sims, I think are both 3s, like number 3 guys in the league. I mean, I said this, man. I think Sam's ever knew how to run routes, he'd be a dollar store, like a Walmart brand DK Metcalf almost. But I mean, it's almost like the flash guys we need to really work on now. So, and I'd like another piece maybe on the offensive line.
I am a huge Antonio Gibson fan.
Oh, I loved it. Gibby is great. Guy that was able to sneak out in our draft. Wasn't lucky in my other 2 leagues, but bright future. It's a bright future for both our teams. I don't think people realize that, man. Like,
it's our division now.
I think it's going to be a football team versus Giants division for a while, especially if Washington is able to pip like Deshaun or Dak.
I like Heineke.
The issue with him is he played himself into at least the opportunity to fight for a starting job should he stay in Washington. I mean, to be fair, he fought himself into to be able to fight for a starting job pretty much no matter where he signed, because like a San Francisco or like a Denver is gonna sign him where it will be probably a quarterback battle in a sense.
I felt bad for that backup we couldn't get in.
Heineke. Oh, Steven Montez.
Yeah,
I don't. That boy, he hasn't seen a single NFL snap because of there being no preseason. I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for him in the sense if he got out there and was just getting shellacked, which is what would happen.
Anyway, my pick for this game, Buccaneers at Saints, is Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I think we're going to see a Super Bowl 53 rematch between Brady and the Rams.
Oh, you're talking quarterback-wise. Okay. All right.
Brady and the Rams.
So we're seeing the same side in the AFC. We're seeing not quite the same side in the NFC.
I got that Rams defense, man. Defense wins championships. They've been saying that since the Stone Age.
Let's touch on some big basketball stuff going on, the bigger news and notes. We'll start in college land, Nick, because I kind of want to save the one NBA point I really want. Well, probably the one of the 2 NBA points I want to bring up for after.
That Kyrie Irving should be MVP.
No. I kind of realized this more or less in the past few days. I think this Gonzaga team's actually for real.
Yeah.
It's not so much that I don't, because I mean, you know this, Nick, for sure. But I'm a big mid-major guy. I think a lot of teams get slept out in the mid-majors that people don't think about. And you can say what you want about the West Coast Conference. I would accept that. Especially this year, I think the bottom half of that conference is really down overall. But then you have the upper half. You have a couple teams that are probably going to fight for a bubble spot. In my mind, San Francisco and I think BYU. BYU's kind of spinning their tires in a weird way. But St. Mary's is looking all right. Again, I'm not convinced, actually. You might have 3 teams instead of 2 for sure and 2 on the bubble. I think you have 3 on the bubble and 1 for sure, obviously, with Gonzaga. But that Gonzaga team's the quickest I've ever seen that team. They're the best offense I think I've seen them run since the Adam Morrison era when we were in middle school. But that Gonzaga team, I think, is for real. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I think, it's nice to see Baylor back up there again. They're for real.
I don't know. I'm not trusting anything out of the Big 12.
Yeah, I get that, but they just blown out everybody.
Are you surprised, as we kind of move back this way in that sense, are you surprised how bad the ACC is?
Little bit how terrible they are.
Yeah.
They're not bad anymore. They are terrible.
You know what's rough? This is going to sound bad, but I thought the Syracuse team would be good this year anyway, but you know what's bad when Syracuse is one of your only for sure teams in the tournament right now.
I know. It's bad because they're terrible, and yet Duke is still one of the better teams. And it's just,
What's crazy is Duke and UNC are both probably on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah, definitely UNC. And Syracuse UNC playing
right now.
And what's the score?
I'm not too sure. You talk while I check.
Yeah, well, here's my take on Syracuse. I think Boeheim needs to,
Welcome to my side of what I've been saying about Boeheim.
Boeheim needs to stop playing his kid and stop playing his kid's best friend, Gerard.
Well, hold on now. Back that one up. But not what I thought you were going to say. I'm intrigued as to why. I can understand the Gerard thing, but why Buddy?
Buddy is good when he's the 4th option, and he was the 4th option when they made the tournament a couple years ago and they lost to Baylor.
As a freshman.
Yep. They had Howard, they had Battle, they had Brissett, when he was the 4th option. He can't be the go-to scorer. It is absolutely embarrassing that Richmond played 6 minutes the other night while Gerard, I know they're different positions, but
36-26 UNC with 4. They're at the under 4 timeout.
Gerard's just he's not a high Division I player.
Well, I think the issue, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for Gerard because it's players like Gerard that are all struggling this year. I think there's some legit depth perception issues going on shooting-wise because overall shooting is down. From the further out you get, it's down than what it has been. I think the past 5 years they said. So
it's just that Boeheim. I don't know. He definitely lost that Pittsburgh game. They needed defensive stop, and Richmond's on the bench. I don't know how Richmond with his lengthy arms is not playing in that defensive stop where Pittsburgh took the lead there at the end. And he had Gerard in there, and Gerard, he can score 20 points, but he gives up 50. I mean, he's just not. He doesn't really do much for your team.
Well, that's on the zone at that point.
Yeah,
this is the worst Syracuse zone I've seen in a while overall, in my opinion.
And they have talented players on this team, I think. Definitely Richmond, though. Richmond is probably one of the most talented. I know he's not the greatest shooter, but he's definitely one of the most talented players on that team, and he's definitely playing more. And I don't know. It's just he plays his son nearly almost the whole game, and they had all those guys like Carey in the group there. They all left probably because of that. And I don't know. It's a little fishy. Playing your son doesn't look good. It's playing your son. He definitely deserves to play on Syracuse. Boeheim, no doubt about it. He is a shooter on the team. At times, he could be the best shooter in the ACC. But 37 minutes a game, something like that. I don't know. They have talented players. I really like this Syracuse team this year. I can't say his name. Number 1 there, Guerrier.
Quincy Guerrier.
Guerrier. I do like him. Braswell, he's got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
He's been shooting.
He's good.
He should shoot more. Definitely not Joe. I'd rather have Braswell shoot. I hate to keep bringing up Joe Girard. I'd rather have Braswell shoot than have Joe Girard shoot from 40 feet out. Like, those aren't even good shots. It's probably because he can't get it over. He can't get the shot over someone's. I don't know. I know I'm not alone. I know there's people that probably like Joe Girard. I'm just not a huge fan. You gotta remember, I'm not a Syracuse fan. My family is, so I watch the games.
You're just a hater because you didn't choose Notre Dame.
I don't want them.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Admit it. You want Girard.
Joe Girard should play Division I. He should be playing on Colgate, though.
Oh, my God.
I
Colgate was one of the last undefeated teams in New York.
I know. They're a good team, but that's where Joe Girard should be. Not the starting point guard for Syracuse. And not to say Syracuse really hasn't had a great team since they had some good point guards like Giannis. The Carter Williams days. I know they made the Final Four that one year in 2016. That's a 10 seed. Michael Benajay was all right. He was all right.
Benajay was good. Are you kidding me? He was phenomenal.
Teams were all right. I mean,
he did have a good supporting cast around him the couple of years.
Cooney. They were all right. I mean, that's why they made the run as the Final Four that year. I mean, they definitely had.
Speaking of runs for teams in orange, they cooled off admittedly the past week. But you're New York Knicks. What did I tell you?
I wish we talked a week ago.
Yeah, no, well, apologies for being in quarantine.
No. It's just like, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
The vibe of the Knicks has changed in the last week. A week ago, we had won 3 in a row. We were 5-3. Tom Thibodeau looked like the coach of the year. Julius Randle looked like the most improved.
You said MVP.
Emmanuel Quickly. I'm sorry. MVP and most improved.
Whoa.
Emmanuel Quickly looked like the rookie of the year. Everything was looking great. James Dolan was on his way to a championship. 5-3, and then we lost 3 straight. Now we're 5-6, and we got our big game against the Nets tomorrow. Kyrie definitely not playing. Durant will be there. But, it's a big game. I was hoping we'd be at least over 500. Didn't win one game. Obviously, the problem is offense. Scored 89 points. In this 3-game losing streak, they scored 89, 89, 88. Haven't hit the 90 mark in 3 games. Clearly, offense is the problem. Defensively, they're there. Defensively, they're one of the best. They're a Tom Thibodeau-minded defensive team. They're there. Just offensively, is not there. But injuries is playing a fact. Obi Toppin's only played the 1 game. Alex Burke, who was scoring 20 points a game, has been out for a while. Julius Randle's getting triple team. He needs these other options there. They just got to make some adjustments. Hopefully get more healthy. But, Paul, you definitely called it. Sleeper team.
Well, they got talent on that team, man. I mean, look, and the
definitely not the worst team in the NBA.
No. What's up, Washington?
Hey, they killed it yesterday, though, without Westbrook.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it. I'll give you my hot take about this because
what's your hot
I don't
take,
freaking really care at this point.
Damian Lillard?
What the hell is up with Kyrie? I saw somebody tweet this today, and I agree with this person. If you just don't want to play basketball anymore, just freaking shut up and retire.
Yeah, I know, seriously.
This was a guy that I liked at the start of his career, and just progressively, just the way he acts has, turned me off. What's he doing out partying without a mask on? And I tweeted today, are we surprised the dude who thought the earth was flat? And the way he's, done stuff in the offseason. He's even got KD laughing at him for saying that he wants to post up, big guys like Jokic. Come on. What? I don't get it.
I don't know what's wrong with him.
I don't get it.
I don't know what Pat's opinion. I haven't seen your brother in a while.
Oh, he still thinks they're winning the championship,
Big
probably.
Nets fan. It's a good time for him.
40-40 at half, by the way, for Syracuse and UNC.
UNC can't shoot, but they can rebound. Obviously, I would love to have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the Knicks because, they were up for it 2 off seasons ago. But, man, I'm not too disappointed that we don't have to deal with Kyrie's antics. He's just something else. He just always has to be in the news, whether he doesn't want to play. I can't deal with it. It's like having Antonio Brown on your team. It's just too much.
That's actually a good comp.
Yeah, just too much. Can't you imagine Antonio Brown and Kyrie Irving hanging out? But
oh God.
Just too much. Definitely don't want that on my team. Obviously, the talent's there for Kevin Durant. You got to remember they're a package deal. Talent-wise, Kyrie's not a top 10 player. I don't even know if he's top 25.
Kyrie?
He's just...
I mean, he still might be top 20.
Yeah. Offensively, he's there. It's just...
Whenever he's actually there.
Yeah, when he's there. But I've heard him and Kevin Durant are a package deal, so you got to take him if you want Kevin Durant. So, I'm happy about the Knicks. Big game against the Nets tomorrow. Looking forward to it. But, it's good. Heat. How your Heat doing?
Well, we were in overtime against the Sixers with only 8 guys being able to dress tonight, so...
How you feeling about the team this year?
I mean, it's so good. I mean, I don't understand why people sleep on them. I mean, but whatever. I mean, like I said, still, at least in that realm, like you said, it's kind of early. The Heat lost by 3 in overtime to the bloody 76ers.
Any MLB breaking news? Haven't heard.
No, nothing today anyway. Liam Hendricks signed with the White Sox, so.
Yeah, usually stuff gets broke on the show.
I know. Did we have the Josh Bell trade? No, we didn't. No. That was outside.
I remember we definitely had Christian Yelich.
I broke the news to you, actually, though. That's a funny... I'll tell the story quick. It's because it's quick. I forget what it was, but, we were,
It was Christmas Eve, right?
It was, yeah. And I go and I text our group chat. I'm like, Nick, I'm so sorry for you. He's like, oh, thanks. For what? And I'm like, oh, no. All I could describe was, oh, no.
It's not a surprise anymore. It's
not even like you got a super great haul for him. I mean,
never do.
Will Crowe's
never do.
Will Crowe's now pitched in parts of 2 years in the big leagues. It just does not look like he's going to be able to put it together.
We never do. But I do remember...
O'Neal Cruz looks all right in the Dominican League.
I do remember Christian Yelich get injured, got broke on our show.
That's true, yeah.
And that brawl between the Pirates and the Reds got broke.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember those ones. But, Josh Bell, happy for you. You definitely should be an American League guy.
Speaking of brawls in Pittsburgh, it kind of just goes right into our final topic. Previewing the NHL. Puck drop tomorrow night.
Taking Penguins money line.
Whoa. So let's start here. The big news with the way they have to do it with the COVID restrictions this year. 4 new divisions for the year with a new playoff format in a way. So here are your divisions this year. We have the West Division sponsored by Honda. That's right. We have sponsorships this year. So it's the Honda West Division, technically. Honda West. Anaheim, Arizona, Colorado, Los Angeles, Minnesota, San Jose, St. Louis, and Vegas are in the Honda West. In your Mass Mutual East Division, you have Boston, Buffalo, New Jersey, the Islanders, Rangers, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Washington. In your Scotia North Division, this is the All-Canada Division because Canada will not allow people to cross the border.
Everyone's favorite division.
Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver, Winnipeg. This is the division that I want to be called the Tim Hortons Conference. We missed a golden opportunity. I'm so mad. No, it's Scotia. It's a bank. Scotia Bank. And then the Discover Central Division. Carolina, Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Detroit, Florida, Nashville, Tampa Bay. You're defending... in my beloved Stanley Cup champion.
What's the East sponsor?
The East is the Mass Mutual East, their insurance.
But, Lightning. Going to win back-to-back, Paul?
I think it's possible. I don't know if they're going to. This year's going to be interesting. Like I said, you're only playing regular season 56 games, but it's everybody in your division. You're not playing outside of your division. It's just your division. So
here's what I'll say. They had a very similar run like the Virginia Cavaliers of men's basketball. But they got upset in the first round there. Tremendous upset. Them getting swept by the Blue Jackets. Virginia losing to a 16 seed. Then they come back and win it the next year. So I say whatever Virginia men's basketball does this year is what the Tampa Bay Lightnings will do.
Okay.
So got to root for them because if they win it all, Tampa Bay's going to win it all.
I think your Rangers, unfortunately, they remind me in a way of the Knicks this year. I think they got a lot of young, good talent on that team. Unfortunately, unlike the Knicks, the way the playoffs are structured this year, I don't know if they have a really good shot at the playoffs. So it's the top 4 teams from each division make it.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. And unfortunately for them, I think the East is probably the most loaded.
It's loaded.
To the point where, I kind of think Buffalo actually might finish last in that division, which is crazy because this is probably the best Buffalo team in the past decade.
Yeah, I know.
But again, I probably might be actually overthinking it to a degree. But, Sabres go out, they sign Taylor Hall, probably the biggest free agent signing in the NHL this year. And it's a 1 year, I think $8 million or something like that for Taylor Hall. Really interesting deal there. And I don't know how well he's going to mesh with Eichel. But you could play it smart and just not put them out on the same line together, at least until you get in a power play situation. Which in that case, the way power plays are, you just kind of dump your best players out. And,
how's Edmonton looking? They got some stars on that team.
Edmonton's they're in the All-Canada division, obviously. You got the 2 best, at least in terms of fantasy, you got the 2 projected best fantasy guys there with Drysdale and McDavid, obviously. So I think offensively they're going to be really good. Obviously you got those 2, and then you've still got Nugent Hopkins there. They got a really good, I think, offensive unit. It's a matter, I think, of defense and goalie play for them. But I think the way the Canada division, Tim Hortons conference, Scotia North, is, I think they do make it in. We'll obviously jump into it here in a couple minutes as to who we think will kind of make moves, or I will anyway, and then we'll get to you with your Stanley Cup prediction.
Is Tim Hortons Canadian? Is that what you keep saying? Yeah,
Tim Horton, famous former hockey player, former NHLer, and obviously founder of the great Tim Hortons.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Best chain coffee, in my opinion, Tim Hortons.
Better than Starbucks.
Starbucks sucks. It's overrated.
Better than
hot
Dunkin'.
Take. There's another hot take. Starbucks is overrated as hell.
Better than Dunkin'?
Yeah.
What's better, Starbucks or Dunkin'?
Dunkin'.
Okay.
Had some herb. Let's go just check in the West quick. Some movement out there, obviously not a
big
ton,
Vegas
but
guy.
Yeah, Vegas will probably be one of the top teams out there still, although
I just found out they're actually called Vegas, not Las Vegas.
Yes, the Vegas Golden Knights.
But not Las Vegas.
No. The key thing this year, it's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on because obviously plans are still full on for the Seattle Kraken to get started next season. It's going to be interesting to see who people get left unprotected. Who gets left unprotected this time around? Obviously, Vegas aced their expansion draft. And looking back on it, and what's wild is you look back on it, and the guys who got left unprotected, like Jonathan Marchessault, guys like that, Nick Schmidt, Ryan Reeves, you have to now look back on it. Even like Marc-Andre Fleury, who people thought was done, right? You have to now look at it in, do we want to say the Lightning are going to be in a bit of a precarious situation to a degree? Do we leave a guy, say like an Andre Palat, unprotected, who is a big difference maker, but do we really need him? Or if we let him go, is he going to burn us, for instance? So it's going to be different this time around, in my opinion, the way teams are going to go about this than with Vegas. Obviously, expansion drafts in our lifetime have been few and far between.
Not many.
I believe, really, technically, there's only been, in our lifetime, so since 94/95, there's only been 3 total. One the MLB with the Rays and Diamondbacks in 98. because two teams came in at the same time. They held the draft at the same time, and it was like a pool style. The Bobcats in 03-04. Well, technically 04-05 in the NBA, and then Vegas Golden Knights. So, and the Browns in '99. Forgot about the Browns. So there's been 4 Browns in '99 in the NFL. So it's going to be interesting this year. It's obviously going to be a really interesting style of play since you're only playing people in division. It's going to be a lot of, I think, heated rivalry. You're going to see new heated rivalries kick up. Also, a little thing of note that I think went under the radar for the most part to probably even general viewers is the AHL. They're having a season, but 3 teams opted out. So there's 3 total teams that are sharing effectively farmhands in the AHL. Syracuse Crunch being one of them, with the Lightning, who are their regular affiliate, and they're being an affiliate for the Florida Panthers this year as well. So it's going to be interesting there. Anything to add before I say who I think will make the playoffs?
Nope.
Okay. We go over this every year, but I'm the bigger hockey guy compared to Nick overall.
Maybe I'll get into it this year.
You say that every year. All right, we'll get started with the 4 teams in the West, the Honda West, that I think will make the playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoff. Again, like I said, I think the East, the Mass Mutual East, is probably going to be the most loaded one. It's going to be, I think, tough to get out of there. But hockey is the one sport where you see a lot of randomness in a sense. You don't know. Obviously, once you get out there, it changes everything. But out West, I think Vegas probably still going to be the best team out West in the Honda West. I don't know. Like I said, there's going to be some interesting stuff with Vegas. There's a lot of internal stuff going into this offseason that was questioning going on. But I like, what they're doing overall. So I'm going to go Vegas. Minnesota, I think, is going to be pretty good overall. They're minus a couple guys that they lost in free agency. But Spurgeon becomes their captain. He's been there a while. Top 10 defender in my mind. Probably the past decade-ish, give or take.
That's tough for them.
Yeah.
They're not really West, but...
this year they have to be West. Yeah, like I said, it's wild the way they opted to do it this year. So I got Vegas. I got Minnesota. Colorado, I think, is going to be there as well. They're a bit more of the obvious choice overall, I think, given what they have. Obviously, with McKinnon, underrated talent, still gets slept upon, in my opinion. And then my 4th team... I think it's a toss-up between 3 teams. But I'm going to go actually with Arizona.
Kemper
sneakily went under the radar last year, kind of fighting for a playoff spot for a little bit. Going to be obviously without Taylor Hall this time around. But I think... they got some pieces there. They're young. They don't know any. That's the thing with that team. They don't know any better. St. Louis, they're getting up there age-wise. Sounds really weird to say that, but 2 years removed now from a Stanley Cup. And then San Jose's there too. Something about them I'm not too sure about. And Evander Kane finally for bankruptcy is wild. So we'll go with the Scotia North next because I'm going to save the East and the Central for the last 2. The Canada division's probably they're actually probably the most straightforward one of the bunch in my mind. I don't think Ottawa really has a good chance at all. They're really the one team I don't see, at least in that division anyway, falling for them. That being said, I'm gonna go Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, and Vancouver. I think Winnipeg takes a little bit, again, of some more steps backward, unfortunately. I think their window, unfortunately, is closing, but I do see a way they could get in. I really like that Vancouver team, though. I think that Vancouver team is going to be really good this year. Going to be interested to see what Brock Besser can do coming off of injury. High hopes there. Holtby's their new starting netminder going from Washington to Vancouver. Be interesting there. And obviously, this might be Toronto. This might be Toronto's really good shot at maybe doing something. It sounds wild to say, but they have that stigma about them, the Maple Leafs stigma. I'll go the Central next to Discover Central. I'll save the East for last for the homers out there. Central, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I'm going to go with Florida. I'm going to go with Dallas.
Nashville.
I'm going to go with Carolina. Carolina, Dallas, Florida, Tampa Bay, I think, out of the Central.
Any chance Detroit gets better?
Yeah, I think you're going to see some steps forward for them. But again,
what happened to them?
But they're young. I mean, they're young. They just got old and overpaid. But Steve Yzerman's up there now, guy who effectively is the one who created Tampa Bay for what they are now. So he knows what he's doing, but they're probably still a couple of years away from making really big noise. I think Nashville's going to regress this year, unfortunately. Again, another team that's probably just getting a little bit too old, too fast. Chicago's still, I think, too young. Columbus, I have a lot of question marks about Columbus. I don't know if Elvis the goalie is going to be able to keep up what he did last year. But hey, you never know. There again, I think the fighting player. I think the only two teams I'm going to say guaranteed in the Central are going to be Dallas and Tampa. And then I think Carolina's probably in, but you know, they play a very loose style. It's going to be interesting.
How is Dallas not in the West and Minnesota?
I don't know. I think they were aiming. I think that should just be called more or less like Southeast with a couple of teams in the North.
Yeah.
Mass Mutual East. Oh man, this one's tough.
That's a loaded division.
Boston for sure. I think Washington for sure. This is probably going to be year one of their 2 years of window being left open. They're getting slower and older somehow with their free agent signings. I mean, if I was young and I could go learn from Ovi, I'd go. I don't know what's holding people back exactly, but we'll see. So I got Boston, I got Washington. I'm going Islanders as well.
They're good.
Man, part of me thinks that they might make the Cup this year even. And this is where things get weird, man. The fact of the matter that Pittsburgh, I think, is going to be on the bubble. Philly's going to be on the bubble. I mean, this is a division that I think, you know, they're going to beat up on each other. I don't think a lot of teams I don't think you're going to see all but two teams really break out of being only a couple games over 500 the whole way. This is my hot take of hockey moment. I'm going to go to the New Jersey Devils, getting it as their last team in that division.
Really?
They got a really good young goaltender in Mackenzie Blackburn. I'm going to go with them. Something tells me the
Capitals
Devils.
and Zdeno Chara, though.
Yeah, old as hell. All right, Nick, I'm gonna go to you for your Stanley Cup prediction, or whatever predictions you got. So before I come back to me,
I got the divisions pulled up here.
Okay, go ahead.
I want quickly. I'll say my divisions: Vegas, Minnesota, St. Louis, Colorado out of the West.
Okay.
Out of the North, I think it's gonna be Edmonton, Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. Out of the East, actually we'll save East spot. Out of the Central, it's going to be Nashville, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Carolina. And out of the East, Washington, Boston, the Islanders, and Pittsburgh. And my Stanley Cup this year is going to be Tampa Bay, Edmonton. Tampa Bay wins back-to-back.
Well, I don't know how exactly we're doing the Stanley Cup itself. how they're going to bracket off everything. I wish there was a way to look. Unfortunately, I don't see one. But
it's all right. We made baseball predictions.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the commissioner changed it the next day.
Yeah, I'm going to go in the final. Final, I'm going to go Islanders. Screw it. Islanders, Minnesota. Islanders win.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll go for it. Screw it. Hockey preview.
NHL.
That takes us to the end of the show. It's one of our longer ones recently. Thanks as always for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. Nick, who are you shouting out today?
Today I'm shouting out my younger cousin, Jack Drew.
I think this is like his 10th career shout out.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
He is starting his final semester, I think, pretty soon here at UAlbany. It's tough. Can't even imagine going to school during these times, especially your senior year of college.
I think I would have thrived in this environment in college.
I don't know, but I'm glad I got it done when high school and college got it done. But shout out Jack. Hope you're doing well.
I had to get a quick sip of water there. My bad. Choking on my own oxygen.
Take her home.
Okay, Nick said take her home, so I will. Thanks as always again, guys and gals, for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Not too sure what day and time yet, but we will be back next week for another episode of Fresh Takes with Russo Felice. Wear your masks.